Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, December 17th, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, today we have 4 separate celebrations that take us all around the globe, quite literally, right? So first, we'll head to France with Our Lady of Amiens, or Our Lady of Amiens in English. It is a Marian shrine, this cathedral. It's so beautiful that one poet said, "It is not possible to add anything to it or to take anything away from it." Very well said. The original church was built in the 3rd century by Saint Firmin, the bishop of Amiens, who received the crown of martyrdom during Diocletian's persecution. Speaking of people who were martyred, it's also said that there's a part of the head of St. John the Baptist there. Which part, I don't know. But a part of it, that was, again, supposedly brought by a traveler named Gallo or Wallen, right, depending on which legend, when he returned from Constantinople in 1205. How one would go about getting a part of John the Baptist's head, I don't know, but that is the word on the street, right? Probably the street that Gallo took to get there. The original, or old cathedral, was destroyed by a fire in 1218. It started with lightning, right? But the new church they wanted to build was so big that they had to destroy a nearby church dedicated to Saint Firmin, right, that first bishop, right? Sometimes it's called the Gothic Parthenon because, the majority of the work was built, completed in 1288, but it's a huge church, right, even bigger than Notre Dame in Paris, right? And as people point out, it can probably hold around 10,000 people, probably far more people than the entire population of the town during the Middle Ages, right? It's also worth noting that the cathedral was intentionally targeted for destruction during the Second World War, and yet the bombs always missed the cathedral, a seeming miracle. Well, from France, we'll jump down to southern Transdanubia in Hungary with, my apologies to all the Hungarians out there, Andoksi Szűzus Maria and Andoks Smogi. Okay, so what's the story of our lovely lady of Andoksi Szűzus Maria? Well, the story goes that before the Turkish invasion of 1526, angels saved the statue of Our Lady and Child in the church in Andoks, right? Which is now southwestern Hungary, right? In any case, by the middle of the century, so mid-1500s, most of that region was under the Ottomans, and so the Catholics then either fled or become Protestant. It was about 100 years later, in the 1640s, that the Jesuits were sent to re-evangelize the area, and it was in an abandoned church that one of the priests found Our Lady's statue. By 1700, the village had already become a place of pilgrimage, and in 1721, the Franciscans built a friary beside the church. It was on December 17th, today, in 1747, that the bishop consecrated the new church of St. Mary, right? It was then that the Countess Cataline, with an unpronounceable last name, donated a magnificent robe for the statue, and hence, there is a tradition that continues to this day of dressing the statue on the second Friday of every month, right? Now, in sort of a sad story, we jump over to Madonna del Terremoto in Paterno Potenza, Basilicata, Italy, Our Lady of the Earthquake. This statue wept blood in 1857. And why might that be? Well, it was at precisely 9:12 at night, on December 16th, 1857, that an earthquake struck the town of Basilicata and the neighboring regions. In the Agri Valley, it was really catastrophic, right? The inhabitants of Paterno, the day after the earthquake, so that would be December 17th, decided to carry the statue of Our Lady in procession. That was the Lady of our Mount Carmel, right? So legend has it that as soon as the procession reached the vicinity of today's Pantano district, Our Lady, who was facing the destroyed houses and wagons full of corpses, turned her face and began to cry tears of blood. The miraculous event is commemorated every year on December 17th. Lastly, we have a very interesting feast, Our Lady of the Rockies, which is a 90-foot statue of Mary that sits atop the Continental Divide overlooking Butte, Montana in the United States. They tell us that it is the fourth tallest statue in the United States, And the base is 8,510 feet above sea level, right? It sits on private land, so the government can't do anything about that, right? So the statue was first thought up by Bob O'Bill in 1979. His wife was seriously sick with cancer, and he decided he would build a statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe if his wife survived, and she did. And so he began the project and eventually built a 90-foot mountaintop statue, constructed largely using donations of money, materials, and laborers from the local community. Work began on December 29th, 1979. The base of the statue was poured in September of 1985 with 400 tons of concrete, and it was today, December 17th in 1985, that a CH-54 Tare from the Army National Guard's 137th Aviation Division airlifted the statue in 4 sections to its present location. A beautiful celebration, Our Lady overlooking the Continental Divide and overlooking the Americas. In today's reading from The Admirable Heart of Mary by St. John Eudes, we read the conclusion of the chapter wherein the saint compares Mary's heart to the sea. O admirable Jesus, grant unto us that we may sing with thee, with thy mother most admirable, and with the entire company of the saints, this miraculous canticle in praise of the adorable heart of the Blessed Trinity, which is the source of the countless wonders and perfections enriching the heart of Mary, the ocean of grace and charity. O Mary, you sea of love unquenched by sorrow, behold my heart, the least and smallest of all hearts, a mere drop of water seeking to unite itself with your vast ocean, to become lost in your depths forever. O Mary, Queen of all hearts consecrated to Jesus, look down upon the tiny drop, my unworthy heart, offered to you, to become merged forever in the sea of your glowing love. Mother of mercy, you see us here below, tossed upon a stormy sea of raging trial and temptation. In your great mercy, deign to be our strength, our guiding star, our sustenance, that, standing firm upon that crystal sea before the throne, your admirable heart, which tempests cannot assail, we may sing without fear, your royal heart is our pure light, our refuge safe. Why should I fear? Her goodness is firm support for our lives. Nothing can trouble our hearts. So for today's Marian meditation, taken from the book by Father Ildefonso Villar, we consider the 18th meditation entitled The Spousal of Our Lady. Traditionally, Our Lady is believed to have remained in the temple from the age of 3 until she was 15, when, according to the Jewish custom, she was betrothed by order and arrangement of the priest to Saint Joseph. Since everything that Mary did cannot but be a matter of instruction for us, let us today see what we can learn from her at this moment in her life. And so we consider the first point, trust in God. This is the first lesson. Inspired by God, Our Lady had in his honor made a vow of virginity. By this vow she had renounced the very possibility of marriage, and this only to conform to the will of God. Now in the name of God, the priests tell her that the divine will is that she should get married. What would anyone else have done in such a case? How difficult it is for us to divest ourselves of our opinions, and especially, of course, when we are perfectly convinced that we are right. See instead the most prudent behavior of our Heavenly Mother. Nobody could be more sure than she was that her vow of virginity was from God. Nor could she doubt that, humanly speaking, marriage and the vow were absolutely incompatible. What could she do? Should she insist on her point and disregard that of the priests? She obeys and trusts. This is the solution. A blind trust and boundless trust, a blind obedience and a boundless trust in God. It was his work. It was he who had allowed the obstacles and contradictions. It was for him to straighten them out. What an example for us. A difficult one, no doubt, but beautiful, sublime, pleasing to God. Do you not instead argue and doubt and pass judgment regarding the orders and suggestions of your superiors? See how little you resemble Mary in this regard.